Hey. Hi. Hello. Welcome back. Alexandrian Codex. Minecraft. It's like 9 at night. Yeah, it's almost 9 p.m. Here in the best coast. In the rainy city. Which is covered in snow. Man, I didn't realize I've lived in Seattle for five years, which is insane. Insane. I've lived here for 5-6 years now. Doesn't feel like it. It still blows my mind how terribly this city handles snow. Yeah, we got big hills, and those big hills are hard to, de-ice and plow. But, like, I live at a pretty major intersection in a pretty flat part of town. And just the complete failure to do anything substantial there is just fucking hilarious. Like, I went out to pick up takeout. Because, I'm not making people deliver me when the streets are covered in snow earlier tonight. And no joke, I had to jump over piles of snow and sludge in the street. Not like metaphorically, like step over. No, there was some like piled up several feet high in the middle of the fucking street. It's just, oh my god. Baby, what is you doing? For context, I grew up in the Midwest. So feet of snow on the ground is just typical for months on end. Yeah. What are we doing today? Vibing, mostly. Oh god. I regret eating as much as I ate. Yeah, we're off to a high energy start here. God damn, this is a jam. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing alright. I feel like today was pretty uneventful. I do that thing that so many of us do, who are still on Facebook. I know, Facebook is terrible, yada yada, but so is everything. And it's a way that I stay in contact with people that I care about, so is it imperfect? Yes. Yes. Is it problematic? Yes. I'm still on it. The whole this day in history, like looking at your old posts, I tend to look at that about every day and just delete anything that's cringy from the past. But man, I have never liked Valentine's Day. Ever. Even when I was still putting on the affectations of, like, religious justification for liking or not liking things. I used to bash on Valentine's Day because it was a commodification, and I didn't have the language at this time, but it was commodifying the suffering of a saint to be a capitalist holiday. Now, there's a lot of really interesting conversations to have about Valentine's Day, to have about love, to have about romance culture, particularly in the United States, but, in the Western world more broadly, there's a lot of very interesting conversations to have there. And so approaching holidays like today being like, it sucks. Yeah, it does. And it's, like, really toxic and sends some really fucked up messages. But holidays like today are also great points to talk about, hey, why do hearts look the way they do? Did you know that it was because that was the shape of a seed pod that during Roman times, that plant, whose name I forget right now, I think it starts with an A, it'll come back to me. The plant species is extinct because of overfarming and environmental change hastened by human activity. It's so... Humanity is really quite bleak and post-apocalyptic in so many ways. I mean, this symbol we use to represent the heart, to represent love, to represent affection, is the reproductive organ of a species we have driven to extinction. That's pretty fucking metal. That's pretty fucking metal. I mean, we can... I think it can be a really powerful prompt to have conversations about, relevant subject matter. What kind of relationships we prioritize, we normalize, our hierarchies in power relationships. Like, why do you value this person more than that person? Why do you structure your worldview that way? Some very interesting, nuanced, kind of introspective conversations. Of course, that's not the point of the holiday. The point of the holiday is to artificially stimulate the economy by having a designated purchasing holiday in one of the slowest economic times of the year. Right. But, for people who... we were all children at one point, right? And with the naivete of, it's just a day to celebrate the people you care about by buying them stuff. And as you get older, or as you grow further apart from people and not celebrating it, not having people be like, will you be my Valentine? I don't want to be your Valentine. I don't want you to be my Valentine. I don't know what that means, and I don't like it. It'd be very fair to be like, Alex, you're just bitter because you're sad and alone. No, I'm just bitter. This remains when I'm in relationships. It remains when I'm not in relationships. This is just status quo, baby. And it's not coming from a hateful place. It's coming from a, I want people to celebrate their relationships and their loves and everything else that's important to them regularly, not just annually, not just when it's profitable to do so, or a special kind of peep comes out, or the president and first lady have a bunch of giant wooden hearts on their lawn. Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure a couple of friends of mine had a really bad day today. I know, I slept through most of the day, if I'm being honest with you. I didn't give a shit. I did not give a shit about it. I've not been sad about, it's Valentine's Day and I'm alone. I'm like, it's Valentine's Day and I'm still alive and I can pay bills and rent. I'm like, hot damn. This was better than I had hoped for 2 months ago. So I'll take it. I was thinking earlier today it might be a nice gesture to reach out to people, send out affirmations, but like, motherfucker, I did that a month and a half ago. Me, I could do it every week. I could do it like every week, every other week, just sending out mushy shit to people I care about. I don't want to overwhelm people. Oh. Okay, I'll level with you. The pizza I got, it wasn't a local place. It was Domino's. It was Domino's because there's one very close by, and again, I didn't want people delivering. Barbecue sauce, red pepper, jalapeno, onion, pineapple. Fucking delicious. Fucking delicious. Jalapeno makes me very happy. There's got to be something to this, right? Jalapeno antidepressant. Oh my god, capsaicin is an antidepressant. I knew it. This is why I like capsaicin so much. Well. Okay, yep, checks out. I think I knew that already. I was about to say, Like, they make me feel better. I guess the red peppers I have don't have a lot of capsicum. I guess I just need to spice up my food. I'm alright with that. I'm perfectly alright with that. The only reason I don't is jalapenos are tiny. They're a pain in the ass to cut up. And like, here's a weird thing. You know how in a lot of Mexican food, maybe not a lot of Mexican food, but you know how in some Mexican food you can get like baked jalapenos? I don't eat them. I don't know why I don't eat them. They just gross me out at that point. They look slug-like. I know they don't actually look slug-like, but a lot of food, if it looks like a slug or, you know, in any way kind of wormy, it puts me off. Don't know why. I mean, like, maggots, for example, are a magnificent source of protein. But the idea of eating them makes me turn into a big baby and go, bleh. In the same way that, oh god, I ordered teriyaki from a new place, and like a week ago, and part of the teriyaki special was it would just have 2 appetizers of the chef's choice, and I'm like, oh, okay, neat. I'm assuming it's gonna be like edamame. I didn't bother to look at the appetizers. I assumed like edamame or something cheap, because like, that's what I would do. But no, it was, frick, squid balls. What are they called? Octopus balls. Octopus balls. Thank you, Google, for listening. Yeah, with takoyaki. I picked up the takoyaki. And of course, you can't really tell what takoyaki is from the outside. Especially if you didn't fucking order takoyaki and you just have mystery fried food. I'm like, this is takoyaki, isn't it? I didn't bite into it, I cut into it, which is definitely... Well, I say cut into it. I tore the fried ball in half, saw the cut up tentacle inside, I'm like, nope. 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 It actually made me sad, because my ex loved takoyaki. And I was sad that I couldn't just give her the takoyaki. I didn't want an interaction with her. I'm just like, this would make her happy. And I feel bad about throwing food away. But I am fucking eating this. So, oh no, does this have fortune on it? It do! I don't know, tentacles are not for eat. Tentacle is... friend? Cephalopods are cool. I don't want to eat cephalopods. Also, they're like really fucking smart, certain types of octopus. Very short-lived, though. And I don't know, just reading horror stories about like... I don't even want to talk about it. It like grosses me out so much. So yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. I really wasn't going anywhere with that. I was just kind of enjoying the momentum of it. I'm alright. I'm good, I think, is what I mean to say. I'm doing pretty well. Which is, hello, surprising on this, most hated of holidays for me. Yeah. It took me a while to work up the urge to actually talk to people today, because I was looking at some people's, like, really bitchy Facebook posts about, like, I'm having a really hard time today. I'm like, okay. Is it because you're financially insecure? No. Is it because you don't have a job? No. Is it because your job is, like, pushing you too hard? No. Is it because you're subjected to, like, state or police violence? No, not particularly. You're white, straight, and have never really suffered systemically a day in your life. Is it just because you're sad because you're not in a relationship anymore? Ding, 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 ding! Like, I'm just not in a place where I'm sympathetic to this today. At all. At all. Boo-hoo, I'm sad. Alright, dog. That sucks. Yeah, I wasn't in a place where I could approach those conversations with any degree of, like, sympathy at all. Like, motherfucker, like, on my feed, there are people who are struggling to stay alive, who can't pay rent, who are struggling with, like, clinical depression, who've been alone for a long, long time, who are dealing with disability and different kinds of health struggles, people who are dealing with homelessness, people who are dealing with unemployment and chronic insecurity financially. I can't care about you being sad because a relationship you ended. I don't have the space for it. I don't want to be rude about it, right? Like, I'm not gonna be an asshole like, oh, you shouldn't be sad about this. Just like, I can't carry water for this right now. It's like, I talked about this in the last few days. I've had multiple friends very close to committing suicide in the last months. Last month particularly, I lost, an internet friend to COVID, and thought that I had lost somebody to suicide, and it's just so regular at this point. It's not irregular, it feels ceaseless. 'Cause we're all at wit's end. It is an exhausting time to be alive, And if you're sad, be sad. But also, like, Okay, I'll say it. If you broke up with someone months ago, repeatedly posting on social media for months afterward about how hard it is to be alone, what are you trying... What do you want? What do you want out of the interaction? And I think at its core, people are just sad and hurt and don't really know what they want, don't really know what to do about it. They're just throwing it into the wind. Which is understandable, but frustrating. I talk ad nauseum about how important communication is to me, and an important part of effective, healthy communication is determining what am I trying to communicate here? What am I trying to accomplish with this conversation? What do I want them to understand? What do I want them to hear? What do I want them to, receive? How am I doing that? Am I doing it in a way that is effective in communicating these thoughts or feelings or ideas, right? It's pretty fundamental stuff when you think about communications. But you have to start out by thinking about communications instead of just doing it out of habit. And so many people just do it out of habit. And far be it from me to act like I'm immune to this. Like I'm a perfect communicator, because I'm absolutely not. There's plenty that I can do to improve, plenty that I can do to grow, plenty that I can do to learn. Plenty that I'm not doing, even, that I'm cognizant that I could or should be doing. This is not a, hey ho, look at me, look at how great I am bit. This is a, it's work, it's hard work, But it's frustrating seeing people not doing the work a bit. I know that netherite is a thing, and that really, if I'm interested in getting the best material in the game and progressing, I should go after that, but it sucks farming for netherite in Minecraft. Really, it sucks farming for anything in Minecraft. Minecraft is very punitive. And I talked about this, oh god, feels like a week ago, but it must have been like 2 weeks ago. It's very punitive in its game design. And its reward system. I mean, you can always play with nothing lost on death. And actually, I think I'd even advocate for it. Yeah. I mean, politically, there's so much to talk about, right? Like, the failure of the Senate to find against Donald Trump, even though Minority Leader McConnell was like, oh, he did it, and he's responsible for it. But this isn't how we do it. Like, what about Clinton? You got Clinton for lying about having his dick sucked. But having somebody foment an armed insurrection against the lawfully elected representatives of a democracy, nah, I can't do anything about that. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm not outraged, right? I'm not surprised by it in the days leading up to it, or even during the hearings. I'm like, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. What was really surprising, and I guess irritating, is just the number of people who are still shocked by when the government in the United States fails and drops the ball. Like, the people who are still, like, shocked when 57 voted yes and 43 voted no. Like, yeah, of course it did. Why would they... Why would they charge him? He's guilty, so what? So are a lot of them. So are a whole lot of them. And I don't mean to be partisan here. I don't mean to say, oh, Republicans are. Yeah, a lot of Republicans are. Maybe even most Republicans are. But like a hell of a lot of Democrats are corrupt as hell. And guilty as hell of, like, all other kinds of violence. There's definitely a double standard when it comes to holding individuals accountable for the actions that they encourage around them. Violence specifically is what I'm talking about in this context, but yeah, I don't know, like, why the fuck were people acting surprised? Why the fuck were people surprised? It wasn't surprising. It would have been surprising had more people voted for Trump to be impeached. Because they were not benefited in any way from voting yes to impeachment. Their constituents, or the people who vote and hold them in power, both their financial backers, or their real bosses, and the people who actually voted for them, did not want them to impeach. Even though it was being cast as a non-partisan issue, the fact is it is a partisan issue. That the Republican Party and its rhetoric and the increasingly authoritarian right and fascist tendencies it's adopted over the last few decades, its slip up and to the right, you know, their base want Trump and want other ideologues and demagogues. Calling him an ideologue is kind of generous. He's more of just a force of personality. So demagogue would be the right word here. Yeah, it's just... It's demonstrative that the electoral system that we have does not function in a capacity that is conducive for reform. It's indicative that our elected officials are more interested in maintaining an impossible failed status quo than they are instituting change. It's a continuing example of the failures of the system that we have, which frustrates libs, right? When they're like, I don't get it, why didn't they just vote the way I wanted them to vote? And for those who become angry and kind of dispossessed by the system, they get radicalized, or they get numb. Which, to me, is a form of radicalization in itself. I guess they're both traumatic responses, right? And... yeah, I mean, it sucks. But what are you gonna do about it? You just gonna vote Democrat, or are you gonna join your fucking union and start organizing locally? Are you gonna join your local DSA or Socialist Alternative chapter and start taking direct, meaningful action today to help out your homeless neighbors, to help out people being evicted all around you, to raise money for Black Lives Matter, to actually fight fascists in the street, to break up the places where they organize, to disrupt bad politics locally, to challenge local corruption, because all things nationally take root locally, and you cannot just magically manifest or you cannot spontaneously manifest a revolution. You cannot spontaneously manifest reform. You can't just do it through one day of action, through one protest, through signing one fucking document. It's through long, steady pressure and momentum. It's called a movement, not a move. Not an action. Now, if you only have the bandwidth to participate in actions, individual actions, that's okay. But identify that way. And make it clear that that's what you're around for. Because that resonates with me. I'm not as much involved with local movements here as I would like to be, to really respect myself. I'm not, because of financial reasons until recently, and now I have that resolved, so I'm looking into being more active again, but it's slow going. It's not something you just pop out of nowhere. God, with all the fucking snow in Seattle, the big thing here and in Portland has just been trying to care for the thousands of people who have been made homeless, unhoused, and just the city's total failure to care for these people, to help these people, to provide adequate, safe housing, places to warm up, places to get clean, places to get food. And of course, yes, this is all greatly exacerbated by the pandemic. And really, the pandemic is a major reason why it's so difficult for me to do things. Because, yeah, I fear for myself, my health, and the health of those around me who are more at risk. Also, honestly, going out with a mask on is really hard for me. Not the breathing part. Breathing's easy. I can run in that thing. It sucks, yeah, but like whatever. I can't see. When I'm wearing my mask, it fogs up my glasses like crazy. Oh, Alex, have you tried putting soap on them? Have you tried this or that or this or that? Yes, I have. But the fogging and condensation is just humidity, moisture, and heat. And at a certain point, there's not much you can do about that. Condensation and the fogging means it's not forming a perfect seal. Well, of course it isn't. I'm not performing surgery. I'm still socially distancing from people. Like, it doesn't have to form a vacuum seal, and also, like, it can't form a vacuum seal. Yeah, God, I want to be vaccinated so I can actually do shit. Not even, like, go out and have fun, but, like, so I can organize in person? So I can actually attend, like, local DSA meetings instead of it all being through fucking Skype. Not Skype, Zoom. I don't want to video chat with strangers. I'd be more comfortable listening or, like, talking on a forum or, like, meeting people in person, but, dude, I don't want to be like, hello, yes. Awkward video call. I don't know, I suck with calls. I get very uncomfortable on the phone. Because I can't gauge body language. And for some reason, that's just a huge deal breaker for me. I mean, for obvious reasons, right? It makes communicating more difficult. It makes it hard to actively listen. It makes it difficult to tell what kind of reaction you're getting, how you should adjust language or tonality. Taking more of a role in the conversation or backing off a little bit. Like, it's so easy to read people when you have body language as a tool, but when you just have tonality to go off of, which people can fake very easily, so much more difficult. And honestly, with video chat and with streaming and even on Discord, I'm constantly looking at my camera being like, oh, I need to fix that. Oh, I don't like that lighting. I can't pay attention at all. It's not ADD or ADHD. It's, it might be in some small part. I don't know. I'm not going to self-diagnose. Not that. Depression, yeah, I'll self-diagnose. Anxiety, I'll self-diagnose. But, like, specifically, it's just, dog, I don't know. I don't like it. I know I can do better. And I get embarrassed that I'm not doing better. Be like, oh, what are you doing, Alex? You should look better than this. You need to impress these people. So I fixate on that. Which is just a waste of fucking time. And energy, and it's wildly unproductive, and I know. Yeah. It's not a bad day. Not at all a bad day. I was pretty happy to sleep through most of it. I'm feeling a little bad at being nocturnal, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. So what am I doing except just biding time right now and waiting until I can be in the public with the people out in the real world again? Not much. And what should the expectation be? Not much. Yeah, it's very strange seeing posts being like, keep an eye out for your unhoused neighbors and, like, give them blankets and stuff. Give them your spare blankets. I'm like, excuse me, you all have spare blankets? Number one, and number two, like, I don't have spare stuff that is waterproof or weatherproof. Like, everything I have in terms of blankets is pretty fucking absorbent material and would be like really bad to give to somebody in the snow because it would just soak up all the moisture and give them hypothermia. If I had a sleeping bag, yeah, I'd probably give that away, but I haven't had a sleeping bag since that got lost in my move in like 2015. Just insane. Yeah. There are some really dedicated individuals and organizations in my city who are much better connected socially than I am, much more able to identify folks in need than I am. And it's very encouraging seeing the work that they do. I used to, when I got paid in cash, the reason I can't ever have cash on me is if someone asks me for cash, I will give it to them. And not like, yeah, here's $1. No, like, I'll give you half of whatever I'm carrying. This isn't a flex. This isn't a, ooh, look at how generous I am. Because I don't fucking take pictures of it or post on social media like, haha, just gave away $100 to this guy who asked for loose change. If I have something to give, I will give it. And I will give it to the point that I can no longer afford things that I need. I know this about myself, and this is why I don't carry cash. But it's a reason that I'm considering just starting to carry 20s on me. Not to spend, just to give away. I mean, shit, the first protest I went to last year was in the rain. And on my way back from the protest, I was walking with a few people, and this unhoused guy, young guy, was asking if we had any cash or anything. And I didn't. And I told him as much. But I had an umbrella, and he didn't. Because, like, who has an umbrella in Seattle? I had it for tear gas and pepper spray, rubber bullets. I asked him if he wanted it, and I gave it to him. And then I walked home like an hour in the rain without one, because it's not like I was out there with a spare. And again, this is not me trying to flex or impress upon you how virtuous I am. This is more just like I am giving to a fault. I will give until I hurt myself giving. I will give until I can't sustain myself anymore. God, and I can't wait until I feel comfortable doing that again. I'm still feeling like very skittish financially, even though I know I'm okay. I'm still worried. I'm really looking forward to getting to the point where I have less of a knee-jerk response to the idea of spending any money, and instead can just like give stuff to people enthusiastically. That'll be nice. That'll be really fucking nice. Yeah, I'm not really going off on political tangents today, because I don't feel like there's much new to talk about. It's been like, what, a day, 2 days? And I'm out of torches. No, I've been vibing. I've been doing pretty okay. I've been sleeping a lot. On the subject of, like, charity and giving and, like, mutual aid, I've been thinking, not a lot. In the bath the other day, I was thinking about the idea of, you know, the expression, give someone the shirt off your back. I'm just kind of wondering at the source of that expression. And kind of how departed Christianity, particularly, has become from this basis, from this root in the importance of charity, the importance of treating strangers in your home like it's their home, and this importance of hospitality, stewardship, and kind of service to your fellow human beings. Believer or unbeliever it doesn't matter, right? And the Old Testament is like chock full of stories about this. It's how do you raise people? Teaching them stories about the Good Samaritan. And then somehow twist the lesson and the takeaway from those stories into poor people should just pick themselves up by their bootstraps. Poor people just aren't trying hard enough. Or just shouldn't have coffee. Or chocolate. Or nice things. That they should just do the bare minimum and, you know, scrounge money together to survive. How are these things compatible? I mean, they're not. Ideologically, they're like clearly not compatible. And it's so bizarre to me how so many people who look at themselves and think of themselves as Christian act in such an abhorrently antithetical way to the underlying selfless, even like socialist kind of love that's the cornerstone of your faith. Yeah, that's a question you've had your entire life. I think, yeah, particularly where we grew up, Mal, that was a recurrent thing. And, you know, I could list off people you and I know off the top of my head and be like, here's an example of someone who's being the same kind of hypocrite, here's another, but I mean, I'm not really here to crucify people. I'm more just, how do you have that cognitive dissonance? I don't understand it. I officially have too much fucking redstone. Like, a lot of these people, particularly Christians, Southern Baptists and, you know, Midwestern Baptists are the genre of Christian that I'm talking about. They have an amazing capacity for tribalism, for caring about themselves and their immediate family, so long as their immediate family acts a certain way. You know, talk about the importance of love and charity and family and duty and service and servanthood. But they're so fucking full of vileness and hate and just disgusting sentiment when it comes to homelessness, when it comes to queer people, when it comes to anyone who isn't Christian, when it comes to anyone who thinks in any way divergent from their own political views. And I don't mean toxic as in like, oh, they think poorly of people who think differently. No, they think violently and destructively towards those people. It's a very real sickness. My grandfather, my Vuvul, talked about quite a bit how far the faith of Christianity was from the gospel. And, you know, he repeated that time and time again throughout my childhood. And he always spoke with this sentiment that, like, or this hope, I think. This hope that something could be done to save the soul of the faith. That something could be done to turn back the tide and make it a force for good. Or at least not for... not a vehicle for nationalists, capitalists, racist sentiment. I don't think that it's possible to walk it back. I don't know how you would even start to do that, because the state of Christian churches in the United States today is a product of mass psychology. It's a product of propaganda. It's a product of, you know, nuanced 20th century and 21st century understandings of how you get people to participate in a mass movement like a religion and stay enraptured in it and invested in it, and particularly investing in it, right? I don't know if you can walk that back. I don't know if there's a way to, you know, save the church. I don't think there is. I think the only church that conceivably one could save, and I'm speaking here as an unbeliever, right? That needs to be pretty clear here. I think the only church that you would be focusing on, or should be focusing on in that context, is this sentiment in the Old Testament that's explored, you know, I think it's Old Testament, you know, honestly, can't recall right now. Wherever two or more people gather in my name, so there I am, so there I shall be, or whatever the fuck the verse is. I think that's the foundation and the bedrock that you need to build your church and your movement and your faith off of. Not mass movements. Christianity is at its best when it's borderline anarchistic. I mean, that's how it was founded. That's what it was when you had, you know, good old J-Man of Nazareth running around with his homeboys. They were anarchists. Not the bomb-throwing variety. Though, I mean, my dude did flip some money lending tables. I don't know, it's such a shame thinking about Christianity with any context as to the actual letter of the faith and spirit of the faith, if you read it in the way that, to me, it sounds as intentioned. Seeing how full of, like, revolutionary potential, or, like, not even revolutionary, but, like, compassionate potential there is. It's so sad to look at how much good it could be doing, compared to what good it's doing now. Anytime you try to naysay or talk about Christianity in the context of money, sorry, in the context of nonprofits, holy shit, you will get pushback. You will get so much pushback because of the massive, massive giving potential of the tithing system, of other institutionalized forms of charity that Christianity in the United States has. But also, like, holy shit, I didn't give that much to tithing. But I know I gave hundreds of dollars, and like, wow, that was such a fucking waste. All that did was maintain a church that probably shouldn't have been maintained. Wowee. Do I want to leave this one here? Nah. Religions aren't inherently good or bad. They're just social organizations. And like any other kind of social organization, they can be directed and mobilized to be good or bad based on the material impact they have on the people around them. And that's really as far as my take goes. Like, religions are just inherently modes of social control. They're no better or worse than any other mode of social control. Do I like them? No. Am I an adherent to them? No. Am I going to campaign for their abolition? No. Maybe actually, like, organized religion, institutionalized religion, I actually think is anathema to what is beautiful about religion. There shouldn't be a Holy Roman Catholic Church. There shouldn't be giant Southern Baptist churches that can act as small nations. Yeah, you know what? No, those I'm in favor of abolishing. Those, in my mind, have no reasonable justification for existing. But people having their private faith, their individual faith, their community faith, faith that makes them feel closer to their history, their traditions, their families, their culture, things that give them hope, satisfaction, passion. No, I'm not going to take that away from them. I have no desire to. Just want to make it so you can't funnel money in through an entity that can't be taxed and then use that entity for political purposes. I take issue with that. Just, you know, just a little. Need this one, but I kind of want to have it here. Let's see. Oh yeah, I do need these here. Yeah, that's probably fine. God, this rain is pretty. It's raining in Seattle right now. Wow, raining. It's snowing and sleeting lightly. It's such a fucking mess out there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful mess, but I do not want to go back out in it anytime soon. Well, it's been about an hour. I haven't really talked about much today. Like, I'm doing fine, and that's remarkable, and you know, religion has revolutionary potential, but I don't want to start a whole fucking essay on that right now. So I'm just gonna say it has revolutionary potential without backing that up with a substantial argument, just being like, hey, here's the thing. I really do think that leftists, progressives, revolutionaries, reformers would do well to be cognizant of how powerful a tool for organizing, mobilizing, and communicating religious organizations can be. I'm not asking you to convert or be an adherent to any faith, but like Sikhism is pretty dope. You might want to look into it. But these are people in your community. These are people probably in your class that are probably just workers, that are probably disaffected from their working conditions by language being used in this capitalist abomination interpretation of their millennia-old faith. People who have, at certain times in certain locales, been vital and massive contributors, to the revolutions and revolutionary history of their own lands, of other lands, and potentially of yours. And I totally understand the appeal of just going that, ha, lol, religion dumb. Yeah, sometimes it is dumb. You don't have to agree with it, you don't have to convert, you don't have to do anything like that. Just gotta treat them like fellow human beings, find your shared values, find ways that you can communicate and work together, and share at least some kind of coalition. Because if you don't, you're just leaving a lot of fucking people on the table. Instead of making such a fucking noise about how we need to organize with agitators on the right and accelerationists on the right, maybe instead we can talk about and think about how you can organize and mobilize and radicalize single parents, people without kids, the elderly in your community who have lost their family and their only sense of community is their church. I don't know. I'm not here to grandstand. Some days I am, not today. Not today. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, there's so much effort, so much energy spent on people who I would argue are not worth that time and energy. Not because fundamentally as human beings they don't deserve the time or the energy. No, not at all. But fundamentally, it will take more time and energy to get them to where you want them to be, rather than people who are just kind of sitting in nebulous Nowhereville and are probably amiable to conversations about organizing or unionizing or helping out the people in need in their community. And yeah, there are going to be sticking points, particularly with Christians in the Midwest and the South. Holy shit, they love to drag out talking about abortion and just making that their one-size-fits-all issue. But, I mean, even in that, you can be like, hey, if you want to reduce the number of abortions, if you look at the data, the most effective way to do that is not in outlawing it, but in reducing and removing people's chances of getting pregnant prior to being ready or wanting a child. You know, you can look at the efficacy of sex education programs. You can look at the efficacy of, like, state-sponsored birth control programs and how wildly effective those are in reducing both child mortality and abortion rates. So if they really do care about human life and they really do feel like life begins at inception, well, let's stop the inception. That's common ground, right? And some people are, you know, still opposed to the idea of talking about sex in general, and maybe there's just some people you can't work with on some issues. And that's a place you'll get with people, and at least you'll have that shared understanding, but I promise you, there's still ways that you can work together in visions of something you hold in common. And if you don't, well, they're not reading their Bibles. Because any good Christian is a socialist Christian. Well, it's been about an hour. I've rambled on for most of it without getting into anything too particular, so I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna title this one. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. I'll be back with more of something tomorrow. I'll spoil it a little bit. I've been doing test runs of Stellaris, trying to figure out why I'm getting crashes out of certain mods that I'm combining. And I'm making progress, but the crashes only tend to happen like 100 years into the fucking game. So that's been really slow to tease out what's going wrong, because crashes don't actually show up in the crash log, because when something causes the game to crash, it doesn't have time to write it to the log, it just fucking kills it. Sometimes it does, and you're very lucky if that happens, but most of the time it just kills it. So that's what I've been doing, which is very thrilling. I might poke around a bit more in eco. I don't know, but keep your eyes open. So until tomorrow, I'm gonna say toodaloo, take care, I'll see you then, bye-bye.